When Astro Bot was first revealed this summer, I felt absolutely nothing. I never played the two other previous Astro games included with the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. I felt that there was never really a good reason for me to do so. I thought to myself, those games are just tech demos. How good can they be? But for those who have played those demos, the consensus was that those games were fantastic. So even though I wasn't excited about Astro Bot, it appeared that many online who had played the previous two games were. And last week, Astro Bot received rave reviews, with the game now being the highest rated game of 2024 on Metacritic. So even though this game wasn't on my radar, I succumbed to peer pressure, bought the game, and had to see for myself if the game was really that good. And you know what? It is. Astro Bot is a 3D platformer that is worth mentioning in the same breath as Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Odyssey. Not only is it astounding gameplay-wise, it's also a celebration of video game history, memorializing some of PlayStation's greatest and forgotten hits. Hi, my name is Jay, and welcome to Good Games Dude. It's easy to dismiss Astro Bot and think it may not be so special. It's a kid's game, and it's a developing brand that some are only now hearing of. But gamers of all ages and backgrounds shouldn't miss out on Astro Bot, as it contains an amazing level of creativity and imagination that is truly mind-blowing, making it one of the best games of this year. Even though this year has already produced a spectacular amount of great games, I'd have no problem listing Astro Bot alongside Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Stellar Blade as some of my favorite games of this year. Every single level of Astro Bot has something unique and different that separates it from the rest to keep it fun and fresh. The cameos and guest characters are fun trophies and rewards, pushing me to search every nook and cranny to find them all. And it utilizes every special ability of the PlayStation 5, from its motion controls to top-of-the-line ray tracing, to help create a state-of-the-art platformer. You rarely get this level of love and attention to detail in these types of games anymore. But I'm glad to see that Team Asabi, who developed Astro Bot, is still keeping the fire and passion for 3D platformers alive and well. 3D platformers are a dying breed. The only big franchise still keeping this genre alive is really Mario. But what Astro Bot shows is that this classic genre still has a lot to offer for players of all generations. Astro Bot is not a long game, averaging about 8 hours of playtime and about 15 hours for completionists. But with that being said, every minute of it is pure joy. Within this relatively short runtime, players will jump, swing, and punch through a variety of different levels, collecting 300 bots, many of which are references and designed after a lot of PlayStation's iconic characters. And that's one of the best parts about this game, as collecting these different bots is a real delight. These bots all celebrate PlayStation's illustrious 30-year portfolio. Beloved characters like Kratos, Nathan Drake, and Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn are all represented. Some of these characters even get special levels inspired by their games. It's a delight to pick up Kratos' axe or a pistol from Nathan Drake, as players get to relive certain scenes or iconic moments from these games. And even the bots and characters that don't get their own levels still get a lot of love. Whether you're a fan of Crash Bandicoot, Shadow of the Colossus, The Last Guardian, Resident Evil, Ghosts and Goblins, Metal Gear Solid, Street Fighter Tekken, or even Journey, there's a lot of attention to detail within these tiny bots that make them so much fun to collect. Even disregarded or obscure games like Loco Roco, Gravity Rush, or even Siren get a lot of love. These inclusions aren't necessary, but I'm glad it's there, as they teach younger players about lost gaming history. But the key to a successful platformer is variety. While the main action of platformers, jumping, has remained the same for decades, it's all the other abilities that make these games fun. And Astro Bot has a number of fun abilities that are constantly cycled through. Whether it be slowing down time, invisible platforms revealed by a light bulb, or spring arms that will remind you of a certain Nintendo game, there are a lot of gameplay mechanics that are introduced and also reintroduced periodically. And much like Super Mario Galaxy or Super Mario Odyssey, the game will only spend a level or two utilizing its mechanics before they're thrown away for players to experiment with another new tool or ability. And some of these obstacle courses can be a real challenge, as players have to juggle multiple different powers and tools if they want to get to the end of these levels. But the game isn't overly challenging. There are optional courses that do challenge the players' timing and their ability to perform finger gymnastics, but I never felt extremely punished or super frustrated whenever I died. I think the difficulty level is just right. Players who want to be tested on tough levels would take about 5 minutes at the most to beat the hardest courses. But players who want to just chill out, relax, and not have to cramp their fingers can do just that, as the game is hardly punishing. Something that also separates this game from something like Mario is its technical prowess. As much as I love Nintendo games and many other 3D platformers, I've always lamented the fact that Nintendo and many others don't utilize state-of-the-art technology to really push the graphical and visual limits of their games. Super Mario Galaxy is one of my favorite games of all time, but I really wish Mario, Donkey Kong, and Kirby would look just a little more detailed and not so polygonal. Thankfully, Astro Bot does get that extra boost thanks to the power of the PS5. Not only that, but the extra features of the DualSense controller, like its haptic feedback, resistant triggers, and motion controls, are utilized in fun ways, helping to provide novel ways to interact with the world. And while the levels and gameplay mechanics are a lot of fun, and I can talk about those even further, I also want to mention the circumstances and timing surrounding this game and how this bucks many annoying gaming trends. At launch, Astro Bot takes about 30 gigabytes of storage. It's insane that a game that looks this good, runs at a smooth 60 frames per second, features ray tracing, and also has this many items and characters on screen, yet it only takes about 30 gigabytes of space. With so many games ballooning over 100 gigabytes, and not even coming close to how this looks, Team Asabi performed a miracle. Not only that, but Team Asabi developed Astro Bot in 3 years, with a team of only 60 members. AAA game development has unfortunately gotten so far out of hand that developers are spending up to 6 to 8 years in game development, with hundreds of staff members, and doing so dangerously. When development and production costs are this high, it hurts everyone, as players don't get as many games as they'd like, and publishers are unlikely to see the return they'd like on their investments. But Astro Bot and its smaller, more focused development show how great AAA games can still be made without having overwhelming and irresponsible development budgets and schedules. Just look at Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. That was a game costing upwards of $200 million and development time upwards of 6 or 7 years. The result was that that game ended up being a flop, as developers and publishers are hardly ever likely to see the profits they were hoping for. So it's good to see PlayStation instead continuing to support smaller, smarter developers like this. Astro Bot reminds us gamers that games don't need to be overly complicated to be fun. It doesn't take huge development teams, hours of bloated content included, and unbearably large open worlds. But rather, all it takes is talented developers, a boatload of imagination, and lots of passion. Much like Super Smash Bros., it's evident that Team Wasabi cares about this genre and video game history. Many of the characters and references included here are going to fly right on by the game's target audience of little kids. I mean, we got Pyramid Head from Silent Hills here, and the Prince from Katamari Damacy. If you recognize some of these characters, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're definitely getting up there. And I'd be lying if I said I recognized all of these cameos. But I'm happy they're all here because it commemorates video game history, teaches young people about video games in the past, and also puts a smile on older players as well. My only real complaint is that I wish this game was longer. This game can easily be completed over a weekend, but I definitely wanted to spend more time here. And depending on your music taste, I think certain tracks can be slightly grating, as certain songs may have annoying loops that constantly repeats. But other than that, I really recommend gamers try out Astro Bot. When you have an open window in your gaming schedule, pick up Astro Bot, dedicate your weekend to it, and just get lost in its wonder. Astro Bot gets my rating of 5 out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing, as it helps to support the channel and helps me continue doing what I love the most, covering video games. New videos pop up every week, so come back soon for even more on the best that video games have to offer.